evening, everyone. Welcome to Radio Dead Air Tech Q&A. You've got questions. We've got guesses. I'm Nash. We've been doing Radio Dead Air for ages. But in addition to that, I'm also an IT professional. With me, as always, my producer, Mike Gearman, also works in IT. We'll be taking your questions tonight, as usual. If you have some tech questions for us, you can send those to requests at radiodeadair.com, or you put those in the comments of the YouTube section once this video goes live. And my damn I'm going to nail this camera in place, which is going to be really hard considering I have a glass tabletop.
Epoxy.
Actually, no, that'd be incredibly stupid. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. What if I flip it upside down and I mount the pole to the top of the ceiling? That way it can't move.
That way you've got something cats can hang from and pull down your ceiling.
Yeah, that would be bad. Well, no, not if I get into the stud. It's right there. If I put that in the...
You're going to walk in and the cats are going to be hanging off the camera.
It'll be, I mean,
you're going to have to have a set. You're going to have a second camera to take a picture of the cats hanging off the first camera because you know we'll want to see it.
Yeah, probably.
And the cat will be sitting there going like, what?
So how you been, Mike?
Not too bad. A little sore. Been doing a lot of under desk diving at work lately. Because no two of our buildings have the same layout of how and where phones are plugged into. Some places, it's on the floor where the jack is. Some places, it's up a cubicle wall where the jack is. And in some places, it's inside the cubicle wall.
Hey, Mike. Have you checked your butthole? Ski-da-ba-da butthole.
No, we didn't.
Of course, I'm not serious. I'm not saying it's up inside your big brown business.
He's been waiting for me to have a complaint about work where he could use that line.
Oh, I'm not really waiting, but it was just there. And I'm like, you know what? I don't say it yet, but there it is. All right. Opportunity knocks. It does. It does indeed. All right. Now let's actually get to the news. Speaking of things you want to absolutely strangle until they die, last week we were preparing for the end of
Hey man.
What?
Sorry, I forgot to put my phone on silent there and it went off and it was a spam caller. So
last week we were getting prepared for the official, unofficial Windows 10 end of life support. And Windows and Microsoft were pushing a lot of people to upgrade, and a lot of people did upgrade. So it's wonderful that the same week that many people felt they were being pushed and pressured, because not everybody understood that you had an end-of-life extension for Windows 10. A lot of people felt pressured and frightened, kind of like fear made people upgrade. They moved to Windows 11, and now what does Microsoft immediately give them? Bullshit.
Indeed. Massive bullshit.
So the same week Windows 10 reaches the end of life thing, sort of, but not really. Microsoft has rolled out Copilot. Let me see if I get the names of these right. Copilot Vision and Copilot. What's the other one? It's Copilot Vision and Copilot.
It was Copilot Voice, wasn't it?
Voice, yes. Copilot Voice and Copilot Vision. And what this means is Copilot Vision will watch your desktop and see what you're doing and follow along.
And try to help.
Try to help. It's like Clippy, but everywhere. And also really invasive. It looks like you're trying to find porn. Would you like some help masturbating?
No.
I mean, if he was about masturbating, it wouldn't be masturbating anymore. By definition,
Yeah, I guess so. Let me put it this way, Nash. Before this show, I had not had that thought those thoughts in that particular order. Okay,
but there we are. The other is they're rolling out their initial wave of the idea that everyone should talk to your computer, just like on Star Trek.
It didn't work for Scotty when they were trying to save whales. It's not going to work for you, and the reason it's not going to work. Okay, first of all, I guarantee you, when they roll this out, we're going to have stories about it doesn't understand my accent.
Like, that's the least of the issue.
And not just like, oh, it doesn't understand Scottish accent. It won't understand New Jerseyan. But we're also going to have office situations where someone over the cue ball is talking loudly. Is your computer going to react? Is their computer going to react? Are both computers going to react?
Yeah, first of all, Rurutu, does it have to have a CPU with the NPU? No, these aren't Copilot Plus features. These are just Copilot features. In fact, the Copilot voice is very similar to the Cortana stuff. It's just now it's being fed into generative AI. So it's a little bit of old and a little bit of new. Like, this is, everything's old is new again. Remember Cortana came out, you're supposed to talk to your computer, the virtual assistants. When Siri hit and everybody lost their minds, like, oh, crap, we got to have something. We got to have our own Siri. Everybody's going to have a Siri. And everybody, you had Google Home and you had everybody, hey, Google and all that. And nobody used the shit. And everybody lost money. Alexa lost a lot of money.
And there's other AI stuff they're rolling in. They're rolling in a general AI agent into File Explorer. And it's called Manus.
Hey,
man, those hands of fate would just push Microsoft right over.
You want to come up, or you want to just be a pain in the butt? Hi, Charlie. Hi there. Do you want to? All right, you're just gonna be a pain in the butt.
So I fully expect Windows debloat is going to add additional scripting to turn off this garbage.
Yeah, Windows debloat will definitely include update for this eventually. I don't know if going ahead and removing Copilot, which is already part of Windows debloat, if Copilot can go ahead and handle this. Already, if taking Copilot out of your system will go ahead and take care of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just very
this
stupid.
This wasn't the only surprise. Congratulations from Microsoft this week. I don't know if you saw the other one.
What was the other one?
OneDrive file hosting is now trying to use AI to recognize faces in your photos. And
yes, you can't shut it off.
He says you can only turn off this setting 3 times a year.
What are those 3 times?
So Slashdot actually reached out to Microsoft and said, what's the reason for telling this can only be turned off 3 times a year? And are those any 3 times? Does it mean 3 specific days? What is it? And Microsoft chose not to answer that question.
By the way, double check, even if you don't think you're using OneDrive. OneDrive kind of gets irritating and it makes some assumptions. So go ahead and check your Microsoft account, and if you're on that and other things on your computer. If you're using OneDrive, get all of your crap off of there. If it's been like putting stuff there without your being aware of it, get your crap off there.
Yeah, I mean, I have Excel on this computer because I got a deal from work, and I occasionally, strangely, use spreadsheets for stuff I do outside of work because it's easy to track shit. And I go to save a spreadsheet, and it goes, "Do you want to save this to your OneDrive?" And I go, "No, I turned that off." "Oh, we turned it back on." "No, you didn't. It's now off again. Save it to my local drive where I always want you to save it."
Debloat can remove OneDrive from your system entirely, which is beautiful. Honestly, if you find yourself needing the functionality of OneDrive, It's so much simpler and better to just plug in a USB drive, save your shit there, and walk it over to any computer you want to. Just keep a little like 64 gig USB stick on you at all times. They're like $20 or less now. 64 gig USB stick, save your stuff as you need and take it with you.
And of course, yeah, Microsoft will tell you, oh, the big advantage to OneDrive is you can have your backups in case your computer dies. We're like, yeah, and you have my backups too, in case someone subpoenas you. I'd rather, and you don't have to tell me, I'd rather they subpoena me because then I know.
Well, we got more. Speaking of legal shit, we have a lawsuit has been levied against Texas. Tech corporations are finally tired of this age verification crap that's springing up all over the place. And big tech lobby has finally, the Computer and Communications Industry Association has finally decided to sue somebody. In this instance, they're suing Texas on the grounds that the law is unconstitutional. Let's see who's included here. Wikipedia, WhatsApp, Slack, Audible, Kindle, Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, Corsia, Code Academy, Duolingo, the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, ESPN, The Atlantic. Yeah, that's all. That's not people who are suing, by the way. That's all stuff that they're giving examples that are being covered by this law.
So the members of the Computer and Communications Industry Association. Now, some of these names I'm going to say off, and you go, well, they're kind of bad people too. But yes, but bad people can sue over a bad law. That's still allowed. Yeah. So it's Amazon.
Yeah. Microsoft,
Apple.
Probably.
Microsoft is not listed on their member page.
Really?
Google is, Intuit is, Intel is, Nord Security. Do you want some amusement? Texas.net. Zebra, Waymo, Uber, and a few others.
Hi, sweetheart. You wanted attention, now you've got it. Okay. Yeah, pretty much they're arguing that, and I like this is an argument from a Supreme Court decision of 2011 called Brown versus Entertainment Media Association struck down a California law restricting the sale of violent video games. And the Supreme Court in that instance said the state's power to protect children from harm does not include a free-floating power to restrict ideas to which children may be exposed. That seems pretty cut and dried to me. But then again, we have this Supreme Court, the Roberts Court, the horrible, stupid, illegal court.
Consistent on this one fairly well. Now, this is going to have to go, of course, through the Fifth Circuit. And the Fifth Circuit can best be described as manners.
Yeah.
So the Fifth Circuit may or may not rule in favor of who they're going to rule in favor of is very dependent on which panel they draw, and then which if that panel gets appealed to the full Fifth Circuit, and it'll eventually go to SCOTUS no matter what happens, because whoever loses is going to appeal.
Yeah. Now, if they do end up winning this case, it could be used as a template for other similar laws that are popping up around the country, Utah, Louisiana. We also have the stupid porn restriction laws in a couple of different states, and it's
and the social media laws that say, hey, the social media has to moderate posts, or can basically one of them I recall was you can't kick people off just because they said something you don't like if it was political. And like, no, we absolutely can.
Yeah, so it's the before this, the Roberts Court, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have even gotten this far because it's like obviously unconstitutional. But these states are seeing an opportunity to enjoy the benefits of corruption. And here we are. Speaking of another benefit of corruption, Amazon, if you weren't already aware, Ring had already been kind of problematic, Amazon's Ring cameras, because they would happily work with law enforcement to allow them access to recordings made by your cameras, which is kind of messed up. Now Ring is working with the video surveillance company Flock, which is a company that uses cameras all over the place to be pretty much universal surveillance wherever you go. And
and Flock has absolutely, they've never seen a government contract they did not want to sign.
They're currently working with ICE, I believe.
Yes, they are.
So how it's going to work is Flock can request video footage from Ring users. Law enforcement can include details of a crime, blah, 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 but they are still going to be able to request your devices turn over anything that they've recorded to law enforcement and to this private company as well. Now, keep in mind, even if
there are two codicils on this. They must include a unique investigation code. Okay, whatever that means. And then the request for footage will appear in Ring's Neighbors app feed to all users in the area of interest. And the Ring participants can say, no, we're not going to give it. If I had a Ring camera, I could say no. Apparently.
But I don't trust that, because once you've already given the access, it's not a matter of, we have seen these companies ignore that stuff quite often. So
I'm saying what they said they're going to do, how they're going to do it, whether they actually do that, we won't find out until a future lawsuit.
Now, many of you out there rely on Ring, not Ring, but just doorbell cameras and security cameras. I mean, I use them here on the show for the cats. I've got the cat cams outside, and we have doorbell cams as well. Now, because it helps. Those things are really good for catching porch pirates, or at least being aware of someone coming up and messing with your stuff. Now, you might be thinking, well, I
had one. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you might be thinking, what can you possibly do to protect yourself against a company deciding they should have access to your private cameras? One company stands out. Now, I use TP-Link, Tapo stuff, but I've done some jiggery-pokery behind the scenes to keep them off the internet. One company that makes it very easy to keep your video devices off the internet is a company called Reolink, REOLINK. And their cameras will work just fine if you block them from the internet. You can set them up where they're not connected to the internet. If you don't trust that, you can go into your router and say, this device cannot access the internet, can access the local area network, cannot access the wide area network. The cameras will still operate just fine. They require a one-time setup. You have to go to a website or an app to set them up with your local network. But once you've done that, you can cut them off from the internet and no one can access them but you. And the best way of doing that is by using Home Assistant, which is an excellent piece of free software for home automation management. And also Home Assistant you can use that remotely if you want to set it up that way, where you can go wherever you want and you can monitor your stuff, or you can set it up in such a way that it only works in your local area network and no one can access that but you. This is a way you can still retain the utility. It will allow you to record stuff just like regular security cameras with other companies. You can record stuff to the onboard memory, like if it has an SD card, or you can record it to your own hard drives as well. They've got the facility to make your own security. There's a plugin. Oh, what's the plugin called? I'm going to forget. I have to look. Damn it. What is the fucking plugin? What is it called? It is called, I don't have it set up properly right now. Crap. Settings. Where are my settings? Reload. What's going on? You're being weird. Let's see. Devices and services. Let me look. It should be right here. If I'm looking for, it's out for fuck's sake. Well, anyway, there is a plugin you can use with Home Assistant that will turn it into a regular security system where you can record to that server's hard drive and whatnot. Real-Link, that's the only Real-Link. It's good for privacy in that regard. I'm not saying they're the best products, but they're products that they won't, for privacy wise, they will function as no internet. You won't have to connect them to the greater internet, just the local network, and it'll work just fine. No reduced functionality whatsoever. And then you don't need Ring and you don't need Amazon. You can just take care. Pretty much the ideal of what should have been the Internet of Things before the hype bubble grew and people came in deciding that they could sell your data and blah, 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 blah. And suddenly your refrigerator needs to be connected to a server in Norway for some reason before it can tell you if you're out of eggs. So, yeah. All right, well, that's the news for this week. Let's get to our questions. By the way, if you have them, send those to request at radio.air.com. Did get another follow-up from Blake real fast, so I'm going to go ahead and do that one first. Okay. Thank you for your questions you answered for me in recent weeks. Reinstall didn't work, and I've banned the idea of fixing it. I'm just curious about what memory integrity is. Am I reasonably secured out it, or should I buy a new laptop? The rest of Windows Defender works fine. I have Malwarebytes. Thanks for your time, Blake. Okay, first of all, Blake, when you were writing those earlier questions to us, I thought you needed to have memory integrity turned on, which is why I was trying to help you so bad with that. Okay, number one, memory integrity in Windows is entirely optional. What memory integrity is, it's a virtualization layer that Windows runs in the background to determine if something is going to be harmful to your system. It's like a decoy, a dummy in its own way. But in order to work, and this may be why it's not working on your laptop, you have to turn on hardware virtualization, which can have any number of different names in the BIOS. But you have to go in the BIOS and make sure that's turned on, because the system can't do virtualization without hardware virtualization enabled. Does it make you much safer? We'll put it this way. It's not on by default. It's turned off by default. It's a feature you can add, but Microsoft doesn't turn it on by default. And the reason is virtualization takes up background processing. It's going to slow down your system. How much or how little is going to depend on what hardware you have. But you will see an impact on what you're doing by having memory integrity turned on. There's also the fact that it will interfere with some programs. It will interfere with some games. It will interfere with some applications. That's why.
And by interfere, we mean, and by interfere, we mean sometimes the program, the game, especially games, will detect certain security features as you trying to hack the game. And then the game will go, no, because people don't do that for gaming. It's like when if you turn on developer mode on your phone, certain games, GPS games like Pokemon, will go, no, you're trying to cheat. We're not going to let you play Pokemon while you got your developer mode on.
She's very irritating. Well, now I can do it with I've found you do with developer mode, but if you root the phone, Pokemon loses its freaking mind. So you can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
because what people were doing there, just for the audience, they were rooting the phone and then telling it via a hack, I'm at this location, which is 300 miles away, but where an event is happening, rather than getting in their car and going to the event. I'm virtually there so I can participate and get the rare thing from the comfort of my easy chair.
So you don't need it. It is an extra layer of security, but at this point, it's considered optional. And mainly because it slows down your system in some instances and it conflicts with a lot of applications. So if you really want to get it working, go and make sure you have hardware virtualization turned on in your BIOS. It's a CPU feature. There's some, every BIOS will have its own way of telling you what virtualization is. Just look for something that says virtualization, and it's should be the option. Turn that on and you should be able to use this, but you don't really need to. It's optional. I don't know what it's going to look like in the future, but it's optional. So I wouldn't have got, man, if I had known that you didn't need this feature, I wouldn't have gone through all the other stuff to help you try to turn it on. I thought you needed this, was the thing. I thought for some, well,
it's okay, Dale.
There you go.
We all learn something.
All right, next question. This is from Nick. Hey, Nash and Mike, considering NVIDIA's partnership with Intel, is it worth it to get an Arc GPU now? I'm concerned about getting one because of pricing, but then being stuck with a card nobody's developing drivers for anymore, considering Intel dropped driver support for its 12th and 13th gen iGPUs. Yeah, we didn't mention that one. That's a story that sort of came and went. Intel has decided they're not going to be doing any more development for the drivers for the GPU that's in the 12th to 14th gen CPUs. Now, this doesn't mean that they don't work anymore. This just that means there's not going to be any new development on them, aside from maybe security patch down the way.
Yeah, there might be security patches. I looked at what the NVIDIA deal was, and there's unfortunately not a lot of details on that deal other than, hey, here's an investment. I don't think that they said that they're going to discontinue the Arc GPU in favor of anything else. So it might still be a good thing to get, but
well, I mean, I can understand the concern. NVIDIA has said they're going to start including Intel has started to say they're going to start including NVIDIA GPUs in their CPUs going forward. And right now, Arc is being included in Intel's CPUs. So it's weird that they want to get NVIDIA's stuff put in there when they already have their own that they're working on. So yeah, it's right to be concerned that they might drop it. It depends on how this partnership with NVIDIA shapes up. What this is going to mean is, going forward, I mean, we can already see this with NVIDIA's driver support. They've already dropped driver support for NVIDIA GTX 10 series. I believe the RTX 20 series is next. I'm not sure if they still support it or not, but by dropping support, what that means is there are not going to be any more game-ready drivers or new updates in concerns for new games and apps. Like right now, if you have a supported NVIDIA GPU, there'll be like a new game comes out and NVIDIA will go, here's a driver that's been optimized to work with this new game that came out because we work with the studio. Here you go. If you have a GPU that's not supported, you can't install that driver because your GPU won't work with it because they didn't test it with that. So you don't get the latest optimizations for the latest games anymore. That's the main issue with they stop developing drivers. Once drivers reach a point of being stable, unless they have a major bug or security flaw, they tend to leave them alone. Unless, there's a reason to change them. So that's what you have to be. If you go forward and suddenly Intel says, all right, we're giving up on this, you're not going to get any more game ready drivers. Your hardware will still probably work just fine. Maybe there's some more room for optimization. They just never touch, but it's up to you if you want to take that risk. And yeah, if it was me, I'd personally say it does look a little risky right now because Intel's in weird space and everything's weird right now. It is up to you if you want to try to buy one. I'm pretty sure the card's going to work, especially the current cards. They only had a limited amount of time, a limited window anyway. to before, they'd lose support. So like if you get like a regular, are they still doing drivers for Alchemist? I think they might still be doing it, but they might be, Alchemist might be still, eventually Battle Mage within a few years is not going to be getting updates anymore. Like GTX 10 series doesn't get updates anymore. AMD's, I believe the 5000 series, the RX 5000 series doesn't get new, they've dropped support for the 5000 series. It's just what they do. After a while, they determine, okay, we're not going to mess with this hardware anymore because it's too old. We have to focus on what we have right in front of us. So it's up to you. Would I risk it? If you are in a bind for cash and you want to game, it might be worth it to you. Just understand the main problem there is the secondhand market. If you try to sell your GPU used going forward, it's going to be less desirable if Intel stops developing for ARC. So the resale value, what little there's going to remain, might just go poof. So, okay. This is from Jill. All right. Hey guys, you were talking about alternate methods to get support for Windows 10. Do you have any thought on the Massgrave method of turning on 3 years of extended support? Okay. Massgrave.
I've not heard about Massgrave before today, so I had to look this up.
Massgrave is a site with a bunch of scripts for Windows that turns on things that most users don't have access to. And the reason these exist is for system developers, for system administrators, for people who work at large companies. Say, for example, your boss comes in and says, hey, this system has the wrong image on it. They have the wrong, we need to change this from Windows Professional to Windows Enterprise. But we can't uninstall it. It has to stay in service right now. We can't do anything. So you just go, okay, you use the dev tools for Massgrave and you go, okay, I'm just going to change the version of Windows behind the scenes, blah, 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 boom, there you go. And it's in place and nothing changes. That's what these things are. Now, none of these things are specifically illegal. They're just things the average user don't have access to. And in this case, there is a version of Windows, the long-term support channel. Yeah, long-term support channel, which is insured to keep getting long-term service channel. It's insured to have many more years of support than people who just have regular 3 years. Than people who just have the regular professional or home edition or whatever, or even enterprise. That's the guarantee. This is long-term servicing channel is for systems where you just have to install Windows and forget it. They have to sit there and you're not going to do quite often long-term service is for like kiosk stuff and other like control system stuff where you don't have users going in there every day, but it needs to have the stable operating system continue working. What you can do with the Massgrave tools is you can put yourself on the long-term servicing channel. That means you, instead of having a potential 1 more year of support for Windows 10, like getting the buying support or getting the OneDrive thing or Microsoft points to get an extra year, this would give you 3 years where you could continue using Windows 10 without any problems. Now, this is technically not what Microsoft wants you to do. In fact, these tools exist. They're not gonna, I have never seen an instance where Microsoft has ever damaged someone's system or turned off Windows where you couldn't boot into it.
Let me say, I've never seen home users where they've done that. There have been criminal enterprises where they've worked with agencies to do that sort of thing. But home users know. And there's a thing on, because I've been reading their page since Nash sent me the question. Then they have a FAQ entry on there. Is this legal? Can I face any consequences? It says, by using MAS, you are bypassing official licensing methods and not paying Microsoft, which is the big thing there. So technically, it is not legal. Is it safe? It says, home users, yes, it's safe. Pursuing a home user over $200 license costs more in legal fees than it would recover and risks bad publicity. Now, that said, Microsoft may come up with a way where they can detect the machines that have switched over this way and stop supporting them.
They can deactivate. This happens quite often when Microsoft Systems detects a invalid license key for Windows. They will deactivate your copy of Windows. You can still get into Windows. You can still use Windows, but there'll be a little nag screen at the bottom saying this copy of Windows is not activated. You need to activate it. And some features will be disabled that you'll need because you don't want what Microsoft could do that with this method. See, Microsoft's incentive to get you off of Windows 10 is not just the AI crap. That's not the only incentive. Microsoft wants to be working on a single copy or a single edition of Windows. Windows 10, while very similar to Windows 11, similar enough that any system running Windows 10 can run Windows 11, there are significant differences in the underlying code base between the two editions. And even an update edition of Windows, like the difference between two different versions of Windows 11, like 24H2 and 25H2, they're more similar than a version of Windows 11 and Windows 10. Microsoft would like to stop supporting Windows 10. They don't want to keep developing for it. They don't want to have to waste time doing updates for it. They don't want to have to waste time with bug fix. They want to focus on one operating system because it's cheaper, and they don't have the same people they used to work on all. Like they used to have a whole bunch of bug testers and a whole bunch of quality assurance. That's been slowly whittled down at Microsoft. Their quality assurance is just sad these days. So with this, with that in mind, they may decide they will shut this loophole and they may deactivate your computer. Maybe. I want to note that they haven't deactivated or shut down or stopped any of the computers who are using the Rufus bypass to get Windows 11 updates that shouldn't be able to do Windows 11. They haven't shut that down. And the reason why is they want you on Windows 11 for, the support reason and also for the AI crap because they have hype bubble going and they want that. So while they kind of want you to upgrade, which was the whole point of pushing people to upgrade, they don't want you on Windows 10. So if you upgrade it, they'll be like, whatever. But if they find out people are largely doing this workaround, the long-term service channel, they might decide to. They might not. That's the risk you run using this method. The 1-year extension is Microsoft ordained. That is, go with God. They said you can use this. This is not. The long-term service channel thing is not Microsoft approved. Therefore, they could change it at any time. It's up to them. That's the downside of using the method.
Have they in the past? Not yet. I mean, because MAS still allows you to, I think I saw that, activate Windows 7.
Yeah, you can.
It's been gone for a long time. And they're just like, yeah, okay, if you want to have an unsecure computer.
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to take that risk, if it's a big risk or not a big risk for you. That's like, definitely if you're using this for business purposes, don't freaking do this. That's a bad call.
In fact, they say on the site, don't use this if you're a business, be legit.
Yeah, because if you use it as a business, then Microsoft will definitely have grounds to come after you. They don't bother home users as much. because in some cases, home users make honest mistakes because they don't know a whole bunch. But if you are running a business and you knowingly activate copies of Windows without, then Microsoft will come after you.
Or even unknowingly, there was a thing where the Business Software Alliance would run ads saying, hey, do you know anyone who's got more copies of this software than they have actually licensed? Do you think they might turn them in? And what happened is people who got fired from jobs would turn in their bosses.
If you want to have more information about it, here's the website. It's called massgrave.dev, D-E-V. And I'll put it in the Twitch chat, and I'll put it in the, maybe if I remember to put it in the YouTube description. You can find it there if you want to mess with it. Just understand there is a small risk to it, and determine if you want to mess with that or not. Also, while we're on the subject, where is it? Yeah, Start All Back. Okay. There is a piece of software I found where people were concerned about, I can't move the taskbar from one part of my screen to another because, you can't do that in Windows 11. Well, there is a program that's kind of a combination of OpenShell that gives you the OpenShell options and also gives you the ability to move your taskbar to another part of the screen. It's called Start All Back, and you can find that at startallback.com. It is free, although there is a license key you can purchase for it to support them if you'd like. Let's see where I can show people. Here it is. So yeah. Knitting Samurai, is Rufus bypass a better option than the mass dev stuff? Well, it's for two different purposes. The Rufus stuff is to upgrade a computer that can't upgrade to Windows 11. The mass dev stuff, I'm pretty sure you might be able to mess with that there, but I like the Rufus version better. There's simplicity to it. You don't have to go in and bother with scripts. Anyway, Start All Back. If you want to have Windows, if you're on Windows 11, but you're like, man, I wish I could move my taskbar. You can move the damn taskbar. Look, there's this picture, Windows 11, and you can move the dang taskbar anywhere on the screen you want, and you can change the start button and all those. There you go. That's this boom, boom, bang. So I thought I should mention that. All right. Last question here, I think, unless something else came in. No, that's the last one this week. All right. Last question is from Garrett. Hey, Nash, Mike, many cats. This is probably going to be a silly question, but can I replace the power LED in my desktop's case? It's bright blue, and even when I keep the computer in sleep mode, it blinks and makes it hard to sleep. I don't want to disconnect it because I find the indicator useful, but I want to swap it with a red one, or better still, figure out a way to make it dimmer. Okay. It depends.
So, yeah, part of it depends on the case, how the LED is connected physically in the case. It may be just pushed into a socket. It may be soldered in place. It may be hot glued in place. There's a number of things. Generally speaking, you can replace it because it just goes to 2 pins on the motherboard. The thing you have to be careful there is making sure when you're hooking up a new LED that you're pinning it in correctly, the same spot. And LEDs have an orientation, right?
Positive and negative, which are usually marked.
Yes.
The longer leg is, let me double check. I believe I'm correct. The longer leg is the positive leg. If you get an LED, it's got like 2 leads on either side. And typically the longer lead is, yes, the shorter leg is negative, the longer leg is positive. One's the anode, one's the cathode. The anode's positive, the cathode's negative. That's one option. Yeah, you can, if depending on your case. And to make that easier, let's see here. Amazon has these little harnesses with for like $5, and you get a 2-pack of these. It's a power switch, a reset switch, a power light, and a hard drive light. And all you got to do is, and these wires peel away from each other to separate. All you got to do is peel that red LED off and plug it in place on your motherboard wherever the current power LED goes, and you could use that. And it's got the plugs with already marked positive and negative on there anyway. Now, here's the other option you could try. You could dim the resistor. I mean, you could dim the LED by adding a resistor. This will take a little bit of soldering, but it might be easier than coming in there and trying to drill out the case and everything. You'll have to cut the wire that goes to the plug-in part on the laptop, not the laptop, the part that plugs into the motherboard. Let me see if I should. Motherboard header. I can show you where that is. Header. Let's have a look. Images. Show people where this is. Yeah, here it is. Perfect picture. There you go. Well, maybe not perfect, but it's a picture. There you go. If you look there, you'll see silk screened on the edge. There's like power LED, hard drive LED, power switch reset. You don't mention what model your computer it is. So this might be, if you don't see this on your motherboard, don't mess with the resistor because it might not work properly. Okay. Because some companies like Dell and HP and others have proprietary headers on the motherboard to only work with their cases because they're giant dinks. So you don't know what pin goes to what, and they're not, but if you can find this, what you need to do, find that wire that's connecting to those 2 points, disconnect it. You're going to have to cut that wire. And this is where you'll need a soldering iron, some heat shrink. This will take some more work that you want to modify stuff. That's how you modify it. And what you're going to do is, let me see, blue LED resistor. You want to change the resistor value. And by doing that is you're going to add a resistor in line on that wire. Let's see, you want to raise the value because the higher the resistor is, the less power gets to the LED and the dimmer it glows. So you probably want to try to add, let's see, what's the resistor for one of these? Probably add maybe a 2K resistor in there, in line with that wire. And either end, a positive or negative, it doesn't matter for this. Just positive for the sake of it. But yeah, you want to increase, add like a 3K resistor, in line with it. That will dim the blue LED. And the reason why I'm saying cut the wire and all that stuff, depending on the case, sometimes the control board in the case doesn't have an LED you can simply remove. It's like all one PCB there that you can't change out. The power button, the reset switch, and the LEDs are all on this little board. And you can't change the LED, but you can increase the resistance to the LED, and that will dim it to the point where it will stay on, or, and then Seth is saying, all right, well, light filter stickers. That's let me see. I didn't even know.
I'll be honest with you. What I have coworkers who claimed they didn't like the bright lights on LEDs on certain things. And I said, put a piece of tape over it to dim the light. And they just grabbed a piece of paper tape and said, oh, that's much better.
Oh, well, yeah, all right. Well,
it may not look great, but it works.
I didn't even consider I would grab my soldering iron, and look at this. There's an entire thing here. Light dims. You can find them on Amazon here. Yeah. There's special stickers you put over the LEDs. Dims them by 50 to 80%. That might be the simple option.
Yeah,
I'm
let's just face it. We work with computers on a regular
Yeah.
basis. Our first thought is, how do I do this with this? And honestly, the tape or the sticker is a very easy solution.
This is probably a better
It
idea.
requires no technical knowledge whatsoever.
Are you sure you don't want to break out the soldering iron? Because and mess with heat shrink and try to tin the thing. Just you sure you don't want to do that? All right. Well then, that's going to be it for this week. We'll be back next week. Next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you have tech questions for us, send those to requests@radiodeadair.com. And meanwhile, for Mike and myself, we'll see you next time. Good night, folks.